Welcome back to day 2 of the 5-day Trust Your Body Hunger Fullness Challenge. Yesterday, I challenged you with getting in touch with your physical signs of hunger, and I introduced you to the hunger fullness scale. So I would love to hear, how is it going for you? Was it obvious what your physical signs of hunger were, or were you maybe a little surprised? So it could go either way. Both are totally normal. Today, we're going to chat about why getting over hungry is never desirable. Like I mentioned yesterday, getting over hungry is really never a good idea. But first, I would love to know that if you are here watching these videos, have you ever been on a diet? Give me a little hands up in the chat or a little heart, whatever it is. Let me know if you've ever been on a diet. I know I personally was once there myself, so no judgment, no shame. This is just talking about your experiences. So the reason I'm asking is because diets often do a few things. They tell you what to eat or what not to eat. There's like an allowed foods list and a not allowed foods list. Sometimes diets tell you when to eat. You can eat after 12 p.m., but you have to stop eating by 7 p.m. That's like time restricted eating. The last thing diets can do is tell you how much to eat or how much not to eat, like a portion guide and control with that. So part of following different diets and micromanaging your food intake throughout your life is that you begin to distrust yourself and listen to external cues. You're going to hear me talk about this a lot, external cues versus internal cues. And this is something I talk about a lot throughout the challenge this week, and something I also talk about a lot in the nutrition training program. Especially diets that tell you when to eat, they're essentially telling you to ignore your hunger cues and therefore ignore your body. And therefore, you're breaking that trust with your body. So that is why we are trusting our bodies this week with this hunger fullness challenge. When you ignore your hunger and become over hungry, you get ravenous, which can lead to overeating and binging. And if you can relate to this, if you are a binger or you feel like you can't get enough, sometimes like no snack is satisfying you, you're definitely not alone. Personally, I know that I used to really try and minimize my hunger earlier in the day with tons of coffee, and then have like maybe just some fruit and then just like a light salad for lunch. And then after dinner and bedtime, I like couldn't have enough snacks. And that was a sign that my body was asking to be fed. But I didn't trust that sign, so I didn't feed my body until I eventually did. So hopefully you're at the stage now where you are ready to trust your body and listen to what it is telling you. Most of the time when you binge or overeat, you'll choose foods that give you like quick energy, like carbs and sugar foods, refined carbohydrates especially, meaning the more processed foods. This often leads to feelings of guilt and feelings like I shouldn't have eaten that. And then that repeats in your head like, oh, why did I eat that? I'm such a bad person. I shouldn't have done that. And then you feel so guilty. And then you feel these feelings of shame and those icky feelings creep up on you. This is a cycle that we want to stop, because a lot of times it then leads to restriction again and feelings that you maybe like feel like you don't deserve to eat again. This cycle, I put it in your workbook, can occur when you undereat without realizing also. So like perhaps if you were working through lunch, which has probably happened to all of us, you work through lunch, and then what happens in the afternoon or when you get home from work, you can't stop eating, you feel ravenous. It's perfectly normal. It's physiological. Or I know I have this also, even though I know better, this is what I do for a living. When I first had my son, and if you're a mom, maybe you can relate when you are with your kids, the kids need your attention. So you skip a meal or snack, and then you feel ravenous later in the day. So it happens to everyone, but being aware of it is super important. When you skip meals and get over hungry, it's then much easier to overeat and likely reach for high sugar, high carb foods that give you quick energy, because your body is asking to be fed. It's asking for that energy. So if you've been here, so have I. It's a hard cycle to break, but we can do it. So your body deserves more respect than living in this constant cycle of wondering when it's going to get fed. So when you consistently feed your body nourishing foods, including fun foods too, your body begins to trust you. And eventually you won't feel this pull to eat forbidden foods. The whole topic of eating like fun and off limits foods, if you restrict yourself from eating, let's say carbs or cookies or cakes that you really want, or cheese, I hear a lot, whatever food you might be restricting, The topic of eating those sorts of foods is something that I cover extensively in the nutrition training program because it's much more complex. So we're going to kind of put it to the side for right now. But today we're going to focus on eating when you're hungry. It is important to eat when you're hungry, and these are all on the top of page 8 of your workbook to maintain good blood sugar control. Number 1, we don't want our blood sugar swinging from high to low out of control. We don't want that. Number 2, it's important to make educated and balanced choices. When you eat when you're hungry, you're more aware of what you're eating instead of just reaching for those high carb foods. So you're able to make a meal that's balanced, that's satisfying, that feels good to you, and then you'll feel better in your body. Number 3, eating when you are hungry helps you respect your cravings. You're not just automatically grabbing for those high sugar, high carb foods and then feeling guilty about it. You're able to really understand what your body is craving and get more in touch with that side of your body as well. Number 4, and good news for everyone, eating when you're hungry helps keep your metabolism elevated. We do not want to keep our body guessing. It's important to keep your food intake predictable. It doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing every day, but eating consistently when you're hungry and not getting over hungry is super important to keep your metabolism healthy. So today's homework, I want you to log your meals. I want you to think about your hunger at the start of the meal. Rate it on that scale of 1 to 10 in that hunger scale that we covered yesterday, and continue to make notes of your physical signs of hunger that we discussed yesterday. On page 9 of your workbook, I gave you a template, a food log template. I'm actually not really that concerned about what you're eating, but instead I'm concerned about when you're eating. Did you eat when you were hungry, or did you get over hungry? And how did your body feel? How did it feel to honor your hunger and eat when you were hungry versus maybe perhaps you had a meeting ran late and your lunch was late and you were over hungry for lunch. So I want to know, how does your body feel? When did you eat? And are you thinking still about those physical signs of hunger? If you have any insights about this or anything you'd like to share with the group, come share in the Facebook group. That is what we are here for. I will be checking throughout the day, and then I will love to chat with you about this tonight at 7:30 p.m. So I will see you then, and bye for now.